Just in terms of the PDOs, the question and detention powers for ASIO, the stop and search powers, the control, it looks like you've dropped the threshold to access those powers. That's if you look at reasonably suspect to reasonably believe. So my question is that when you look at the use of control orders, the use of PDOs, the use of the ASIO question and detention powers, were you not using them because the threshold was too high to actually access them, and are you dropping the threshold so that you have easier access to the use of those powers? Over to you.
There are some changes in terms of the questioning warrants as well. The removal of that last resort requirement as well is certainly something that we believe is going to make it easier for us to get those questioning warrants and to utilise those questioning warrants. Yes.
And this would apply to you, Assistant Commissioner, as well. Is it the key? Has the problem been in the past? Because you look at it, and one of the questions that you automatically ask is that you've got these very strong powers, but they haven't actually been used all that often, except I note that the Assistant Commissioner said until relatively recently. So the question has been, was there a problem accessing those powers from an operational perspective in view of the agencies? And is that why you ask for the threshold to be dropped?
Yes.
Yeah.
You asked for it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So in effect, yeah, which is a key point, that just stood out to me, that the only explanation could be that you wanted easier access points to access these powers.
I think the fact that control orders have been used twice, basically by consent.
Yep.
PDOs using the state legislation were used for the first time earlier last month. Even though we were in a heightened state of operational activity, it's not as if we haven't had operational activity in the past where we haven't used those powers based on the fact that the threshold, in our view, needed to be looked at. And that's why we've actually gone to government and obviously now this committee asking them to reconsider that.
So there have been instances in the past where you have thought about using those powers and you haven't used those powers because, in your view, the threshold was too high for you to meet.
It's actually the view of senior counsel that the threshold's too high. I mean, we basically have compared documentation that we've taken to senior counsel and they've advised us we're not over the line.
Yeah.
So therefore, we've had to reconsider how we use those powers.
I understand. And sorry, just to you, if I can just jump ahead of you, Kerry, the issue of questioning and the never used detention powers. In your view, if the threshold is reduced, is your agency more inclined then to proceed to detention powers? Would you envisage a circumstance where you might then potentially use those detention powers?
So I think in the current sort of state with the current terrorism threat level, there is a more realistic possibility that we would use those powers.
Have you contemplated using those powers in the past, but haven't because you thought that the threshold was too high?
There's certainly that is the case. They've been contemplated in the past, and I'd also draw the committee's attention to the fact that the Insulum in his second report raised the issue about the time criticality issue, and said that was detracting from utilisation. So that was some of the reason why he actually recommended also and was accepted that last resort requirement needed to be changed.
So an answer to both of you then, that if these laws are passed, then the Australian public would expect them to be used more frequently than they have in the past.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Over to you, John.